I was posed with the question, why am I a musician? And I find that this is a good question to ask because it's not an uncommon one that I get asked. I'm often asked, why are you going to be a musician? You know, you don't make a lot of money in that field, right? And by my friends and family, it's really frustrating because I have to explain to them that it's not something that I'm doing for money, it's something that I'm doing for passion. And so I just wanted to start off by saying that I'm a musician because I'm kind of a reject. I'm the oatmeal raisin cookie uh, of the music world. I'm the one cookie that one of every 30 people will pick up, and as opposed to a chocolate chip cookie or a sugar cookie. And so to, explain this a little more, when I went to high school, we had this chamber group, and they were called the Hayes Players. And pretty much, if you were anyone who was anyone in the music world at my high school, you went to the Hayes Players and you played. So I thought that that's somewhere that I really wanted to be. And I was in 8th grade at the time when I heard about the Hayes Players and I wanted to audition. So I thought to myself, well, I'm pretty good at bass. I'm the first chair in my section. And, I was pretty impressed with myself as a musician at that point in time. So I decided I was going to audition. And so I practiced and I practiced, and I mean, looking back on it, really, it was only like half an hour's worth of practice per day, which is pretty mediocre. But it was enough for me to be impressed with myself. So I went and I took the audition, and I got pretty high marks, and so I was pretty content. And the next day, came into the classroom and there were these names on the board, and I didn't see mine on there. I saw my best friends, but not mine. And so I was just thinking, well, maybe they got in trouble because I was pretty quiet back then and my name didn't usually get on the board for that sort of thing. But no, what actually happened was that my orchestra teacher walked up to the front of the classroom and said, "Hey, let's congratulate everyone's name is on the board because they made it into Hayes Players." And that was kind of upsetting for me, but more because my friend had gotten in and I hadn't, and it wasn't that I was jealous of her so much as I was upset because I wasn't going to have my best friend in the same class as I was, and that was just really the extent of it though. I wasn't really committed to the idea of being in this group yet, just more committed to the fact that my best friend should be in the same class as I was. So the next year, I decided, you know what, I'm going to audition again. And I practiced more and I practiced more and I auditioned and I got, again, really nice reviews. And so the list goes up and my name wasn't on it again. And it was really upsetting this time around. This is the point in my career when I was like, okay, I feel really second best compared to everyone else. I feel like a second-rate musician. And that's really when I just started to question myself. Am I a good enough musician? Can I actually, muster up the talent that is necessary to get into this group of musicians? And so even today, I have these really hard times of doubt where I just am not sure if I'm good enough to be a musician. And there's one time I can recall when I first started college that I was practicing my bass and I was going through this really tough spot, and these kids walk by my door and then they back up and look in the little window and they start laughing at me. And it hurt so much because I was just trying so hard and it was enough to make me pack up my bass and just start crying. And the next day, I walked into my instructor's office and I said, I need you to explain to me why I'm here and why I'm good enough to be in this group. And he says to me something that parts the clouds and lets the angels sing. He says, Olivia, you are here because you care about what you do. You have this passion for what you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't have adverse reactions to these events that are happening. And that just made so much sense. And it put everything into perspective for me. When I was rejected from the Hayes Players for the second time, I had this passion that was just ignited in my soul because I knew so much more then than I had before that music was something that I wanted to do because I knew that I could be a good musician and that what I was presenting was good for me but not good enough. And so I just worked so hard. I went and I started getting lessons so that I could perform solo and with groups and do better with that. and I couldn't always pay for those lessons. So sometimes I would do some rough labor to get through them. And but I always loved it. And it was something that I always wanted to work for. So I started performing at a higher level, and I was more proficient in ensembles and solo. And just this really wonderful sense of accomplishment that I got after performing solo or in an ensemble was something that I found drove my passion even more. Because it wasn't just this idea of, okay, I've got the piece done and now I'm done with it and I can put it away forever. It's more like, okay, so I've got this piece done. Is there anything that you guys want to say that can make it better? And it was the idea that I could improve upon this piece that really drove me. Because, yes, getting one great performance in front of a large group of people was always great, but then understanding what it was that I could do to improve that piece and make it better was something that I enjoyed far better. So, that sense of rejection that I felt when I auditioned for the Hayes Players for the second time was not fatal to my person. It was something that ignited this passion and just really made me work so hard to become this great musician that I knew I could be. And so today I like to think that in the music world, I'm more like an Oreo filled chocolate chip cookie because I've worked so hard and I have this passion that is just excelled when I finish a piece, I perform it, and then I get feedback on how to improve it. And it's something that I'm always going to be willing to work towards and willing to improve. So if we really need to know why it is that I'm a musician, it's because I love that sense of accomplishment, but I love even more the idea of improving it to make it the best performance possible. So I am a musician because rejection is not fatal, and it's a thing of passion.